thrift store clothes. My family mocked at Thanksgiving until my called about the $1 million 0 cents deal silencing the room. Who was behind the threat? The screech of tires on wet asphalt was the last thing I heard before the world tilted into chaos. My Ford Focus, my trusty companion for 16 years, fishtailed wildly as I slammed the brake pedal to the floor. Nothing. No resistance. No slowing. Just the sickening lurch of a car hurtling toward a guardrail on a rain-slicked Seattle overpass. My heart pounded in my throat, a primal scream trapped behind clenched teeth. This wasn't an accident. Someone had cut my brakes. Someone wanted me dead. I gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white as the city skyline blurred past. The Space Needle loomed in the distance, a mocking beacon of normalcy, while my world unraveled. I yanked the handbrake, the car shuddering as it skidded sideways, metal grinding against the rail with a sound like a dying animal. Sparks flew, illuminating the night, and for a split second, I thought this was it. Sophie Bennett, 35, Chief Visionary Officer of a $200 million 0 cents tech empire, reduced to headline in tomorrow's news. Tech mogul dies in tragic crash. No one would know the truth, that I'd built Apex Dynamics from a dorm room dream into a global force, or that I'd spent my life hiding my success from a family who measured worth in stock options and social clout. No one would know someone had tried to erase me. The car lurched to a stop, teetering on the edge of the overpass. Below, the Puget Sound glittered darkly, a void waiting to swallow me whole. My breath came in ragged gasps as I fumbled for my phone, hand shaking so badly I nearly dropped it. "Lauren," I croaked when my COO picked up. "Someone tampered with my car. I'm on I-5, northbound. I need you now." "Jesus, Sophie, are you okay?" Lauren's voice was sharp, urgent, cutting through the fog of adrenaline. "I'm sending security. Stay put. Don't touch anything." I nodded, though she couldn't see me, and leaned back against the headrest, the cold leather grounding me. Rain hammered the windshield, each drop a reminder of how close I'd come to oblivion. This wasn't random. Apex Dynamics, my company, was on the verge of a $1.5 billion 0 cents valuation, and our AI platform designed to empower startups against corporate giants had made enemies, powerful ones. Was it a rival tech conglomerate desperate to stop our next funding round? Or worse, someone closer? My mind flashed to the Thanksgiving dinner looming tomorrow night, where my family would gather in their Bellevue mansion to dissect my failure of a life. Did one of them know more about me than I'd thought? As sirens wailed in the distance, I closed my eyes, forcing myself to breathe. I'd survived, but the question gnawed at me. Who wanted me gone? And why now? 16 years ago, I bought my Ford Focus with the first paycheck from a coding gig in high school. It was a clunky silver thing, reliable as gravity, and it became my shield, a way to blend into the world while I built something extraordinary. Apex Dynamics wasn't just a company, it was my rebellion against a life I'd been raised to chase. Growing up in Bellevue, in a modernist mansion with glass walls and cold floors, I was surrounded by wealth, but starved. For my parents, Eleanor and Richard, were titans of Seattle's elite. Their lives a parade of private jets, exclusive clubs, and deals sealed over $500. 0 cents bottles of wine. To them, success was a currency. Stock options, gala invitations, a name in the society pages. I was invisible unless I fit their mold. And I never did. At 14, I stumbled into a community tech workshop, a free Saturday program for kids who couldn't afford coding camps. The room smelled of burnt coffee and old keyboards, but to me, it was a sanctuary. The first time I wrote a line of Python that made a pixelated square move across a screen, I felt alive. Code didn't care about my last name or my lack of designer clothes. It rewarded logic, persistence, results, everything my family ignored. By 17, I'd sold my first AI app for $75,000, 0 cents, a tool that optimized delivery routes for local businesses. My parents called it a cute side hustle and told me to focus on real achievements like joining the debate team to meet the right kind of people. I smiled, nodded, and kept coding. When college applications came, I won a full scholarship to UC Berkeley for machine learning. My father was apoplectic. Yale's business school is the only path to respectability, he thundered, threatening to cut me off. I chose Berkeley anyway, packing my life into a duffel bag and a battered laptop. In a cramped dorm room, surrounded by the hum of ambition and instant ramen, I built the prototype for ApeSec Dynamics, an AI platform that gave startups the tools to compete with corporate behemoths. A professor saw its potential and connected me with a seed investor. We launched with 75 Seattle startups, and within 9 months, we had 1,200 clients across the U.S., fueled by a $30 million 0 cents Series A round. By the time I graduated, a Series C round valued Apex at $900 million, 0 cents. My stake made me richer than my parents could ever dream, but I told almost no one. I bought a modest townhouse in Tacoma, far from the glitz of Bellevue. I kept driving my Ford, wearing jeans and sweaters from department stores. Wealth changes people, how they see you, what they want from you. I'd seen it in my family, where love was a transaction and loyalty a negotiation. I wanted relationships built on who I was, not what I owned. Only Lauren, my COO and a friend since our Berkeley days, knew the full truth. She'd started as my first intern, a whip-smart coder with a knack for strategy. And now she was my right hand, the one person I trusted to guard my secrets. Tonight, though, as I sat in my wrecked car waiting for help, those secrets felt like a noose. Someone had found me out. The cyber attack on Apex's servers last week had been the first warning, a sophisticated breach that nearly exposed our AI trade secrets, worth $2 billion, 0 cents to the right buyer. Lauren and I had contained it, but the damage was done. Our enemies knew we were vulnerable. Then came the anonymous email accusing me of insider trading with falsified documents, so convincing they'd fooled an FBI agent, until I proved my innocence. That was danger number 2, and it hit too close to home. Now, this, my brakes cut, my life dangling over a 200-foot drop. Someone wasn't just playing dirty, they were playing for keeps. The police arrived first, their lights painting the night red and blue. A burly officer with a clipboard approached, rain dripping from his hat. "Ma'am, you okay?" That was one hell of a skid. "I'm fine," I lied, my voice steadier than I felt. "The brakes failed, completely." He frowned, scribbling notes. "Old car like this could be wear and tear. We'll tow it, have a mechanic check." "It's not wear and tear," I said sharply. "This car's maintained like a fighter jet. Someone tampered with it." His eyebrows shot up, but he didn't argue. As he called for a tow truck, Lauren's black SUV pulled up, her security team spilling out like a SWAT unit. She rushed to me, her face pale under the streetlights. "Sophie, what the hell? You could have died." "I know," I said, letting her pull me into a quick hug. "We need to talk. Somewhere safe?" We relocated to a nondescript diner off the highway, the kind of place where the coffee was burnt and the waitresses called your home. Lauren's security guy sat at a nearby booth, scanning the room like hawks. I sipped my coffee, the bitterness grounding me as I recounted the crash. Lauren listened, her sharp eyes narrowing with each detail. "This isn't a coincidence," she said, leaning forward. "First, the cyber attack, then the FBI leak, now this. Someone's targeting you, Sophie. Not just Apex." "But who?" I asked, frustration clawing at me. "A competitor? The takeover bid from Quantum Tech has them desperate, but sabotage? Murder? That's next level." Lauren hesitated, her fingers tapping the table. "Or it's personal. Your family's in town for Thanksgiving. You've kept your success quiet, but what if someone found out? $200 million, 0 cents, makes people do crazy things." I laughed, a hollow sound. "My family? They think I'm a broke coder living in a Tacoma shoebox? They'd rather die than believe I out-earned them." "Maybe," Lauren said, unconvinced. "But you're walking into that dinner tomorrow like a lamb to slaughter. They'll tear you apart, and if one of them knows about Apex..." She trailed off, letting the implication hang. The thought made my stomach twist. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving dinner at my parents' estate was already a battlefield. Last year, my cousin Nathan had spent an hour mocking my flopping startup, while my Aunt Helen suggested I apply for a receptionist job at her husband's firm. My parents watched, their disappointment a silent weight. I'd endured it, clinging to the hope that one day they'd see me for who I was, not what they wanted me to be. But now, with my life on the line, that hope felt like a luxury I couldn't afford. "I can handle them," I said, more to convince myself than Lauren. "I've been dodging their barbs since I was a kid." "Not like this," she countered. "You're not just hiding wealth anymore. You're hiding enemies. We need to figure out who's behind this before they try again." She was right, but the weight of it crushed me. I'd built Apex to empower the underdog, to give small businesses a fighting chance against corporate giants. Now, I was the one under attack, and the enemy was faceless. Was it Quantum Tech, desperate to kill our $750 million, 0 cents valuation before we disrupted their market? The rogue board member, Victor Crane, who'd been spreading lies about my leadership to oust me? Or, as Lauren suggested, someone closer, someone who'd sat across from me at last year's dinner, smiling while they planned my downfall? The next morning, I stood in my Tacoma townhouse, staring at my closet. The dinner was hours away, and I needed armor. Metaphorical, not literal. I chose dark jeans and a plain gray sweater. Nothing flashy, nothing to signal the $200 million 0 cents I'd earned. My family would pounce on anything that looked like ambition, twisting it into proof I was trying too hard. I'd learned that lesson early. At 16, I'd worn a new dress to a family gala, only for my mother to whisper, "Darling, don't overreach. It's unbecoming." The memory still stung, a reminder of the tightrope I walked. Be successful, but not too successful. Be visible, but not too visible. I checked my phone, wincing at the flood of notifications. The cyber attack had been contained, but our servers were still limping, and our team was working overtime to secure $2 billion, 0 cents, in AI trade secrets. Then there was the FBI mess. A former partner, Greg Holland, had leaked doctored documents accusing me of insider trading. I'd spent weeks proving my innocence, but the damage lingered, a stain on Apex's reputation. And now, the car crash. Lauren's security team had confirmed it. The brake lines were cut, clean and deliberate. Someone had known my routine, my car, my life. As I grabbed my keys, my phone buzzed with a text from Noah, my boyfriend of 6 months. "Good luck at the family dinner from hell. You got this." I smiled, warmth cutting through the tension. Noah, a history teacher at a community college, knew me as Sophie, the dreamer who built apps to help small businesses. He didn't know about the $200 million 0 cents, the private helicopter, or the fact that I employed 300 people, including 20 Ivy League grads. I liked it that way. With Noah, I could talk about ideas, AI, education, justice, without the baggage of wealth. But tonight, I wondered if keeping him in the dark was protecting him or putting him at risk. I drove a rental car, a bland Toyota sedan, courtesy of Lauren's insistence that my Ford stay in evidence. The road to Bellevue felt like a march to the gallows. My parents' estate loomed ahead, a glass and steel monstrosity that screamed new money. Ferraris, Range Rovers, and a sleek Tesla lined the driveway, my Toyota looking like a stray dog among pedigrees. Carlos, the valet, approached with a familiar mix of pity and confusion. "Evening, Miss Sophie," he said, holding the door. "Still driving practical, I see." "Always," I replied, handing him the keys. "How's your daughter's coding boot camp going?" His face lit up, surprised I remembered. "She's killing it, top of her class. Wants to build games someday." "Tell her to send me her portfolio," I said, slipping him a card with my personal email. "We're always looking for talent." As Carlos grinned, I turned to the mansion's entrance, my stomach knotting. The door swung open, revealing my mother, Eleanor, in a designer gown that cost more than a semester at Berkeley. Her smile was a practiced mask, her eyes scanning me like a barcode. "Sophie, darling," she said, ere kissing my cheeks. "You're here, finally." The emphasis on finally was a jab. She expected early arrivals, as if punctuality were a personality flaw. I stepped into the foyer, the chandelier glittering like a frozen waterfall. My father, Richard, barely looked up from his conversation with Uncle Thomas, offering a curt nod before returning to their debate about stock splits. Cousin Olivia caught my eye, nudging Nathan. They exchanged a smirk, and I braced myself. At 37, Olivia was freshly divorced from a hedge fund bro. Her new mission to flaunt her $7 million 0 cents Hamptons condo. Nathan, 32, was a wannabe influencer with a failing crypto startup, always ready to needle me about my hobby coding. "Sophie, is that sweater from Target?" Olivia called, her voice carrying across the room. Laughter rippled through the gathered relatives. "Good for you, keeping it economical." "It's comfortable," I said, forcing a smile. "Quality over flash." Aunt Helen swooped in, martini in hand. "You've put on a few pounds, haven't you, dear? It's fine, really. You were looking so severe last year." Her eyes flicked over me, searching for flaws to catalog. "Thanks for the concern," I said, my tone neutral. "I'm healthy. That's what matters." "Of course," she said, her smile thin as a blade. And your little tech project? Still tinkering away? It's doing well, I replied, vague on purpose. They never listened anyway. Uncle Thomas joined us, scotch in hand. Sophie, I was telling your dad about my friend's kid at Amazon. Started at $250,000. 0 cents, straight out of Stanford. He could give you some pointers on your, app thing? I run an AI platform that helps startups compete digitally, I said, the words practiced but ignored. We're scaling nicely. Right, apps, he said, waving a hand. Anyway, this kid's killing it. Where'd you go again? Not Stanford, was it? You see, Berkeley, I said, swallowing the urge to add, where I graduated top of my class and built a $900 million 0 cents company. The public school, he said, as if I'd attended trade school. Well, you'll get there. As we moved to the living room, I was seated between Nathan and my mother's friend Patricia, who'd been pushing her lawyer son on me for years. Nathan leaned in, his breath heavy with bourbon. Still driving that junker, Sophie? What is it, a 90S Ford? Thought those died out with dial-up. It's a 2009, I said, sipping water instead of wine. Runs like a dream. Practical, my mother said, her laugh brittle. Sophie's still finding herself. Not everyone's cut out for the big leagues, my father added from across the room, his voice carrying like a gavel. Some people need time to figure it out. The words hit like a slap, but I kept my face composed. Grandma Margaret, 89 and sharp as ever, watched me from the corner, her eyes warm with understanding. She gave me a subtle nod, a lifeline in the storm. Beside her, my niece Ava, 16 and still navigating the family's pecking order, whispered, I think your tech stuff sounds cool, Aunt Sophie. Thanks, Ava, I said, my first real smile of the night. You're taking coding at school, right? Yeah, she said, eyes bright. I'm building a game. Can I show you sometime? Anytime, I promised, feeling a spark of connection amid the hostility. Dinner was a spectacle of excess. Antique mahogany table, heirloom china, crystal glasses filled with wine that cost more than my monthly mortgage. The catering staff moved like ghosts, serving a 5-course meal while my family competed in a verbal arms race. Nathan bragged about his crypto startup's imminent IPO, completely ignoring its $2 million 0 cents debt. Olivia detailed her Hamptons condo, complete with a private chef and ocean view. My father announced a $10 million 0 cents vineyard purchase in Napa, met with gasps and applause. Then, inevitably, the spotlight turned to me. Sophie? Richard said, his tone patronizing. Anything new with you? Before I could answer, Nathan cut in. Still messing with those little apps. What's the revenue on that, like $5,000 a year? Laughter erupted, sharp and cruel. I took a breath, steadying myself. Actually, Apex Dynamics now serves 25,000 startups nationwide. We're projecting. Did you hear about Olivia's new place? My mother interrupted, her voice a velvet guillotine. 7 million fully renovated. Architectural Digest is doing a spread. Olivia preened, flashing a diamond bracelet that screamed new money. It's a lifestyle, really. You wouldn't understand, Sophie. Aunt Helen leaned in, her smile predatory. Speaking of lifestyles, Sophie, when are you settling down? You're 35. The clock's ticking. My friend's son, the attorney, Harvard Law, old money, would be perfect for you. I'm seeing someone, I said quietly. Noah. He's a history teacher. The table went silent, forks pausing midair. My mother recovered first, her voice dripping with pity. A teacher, how noble. Someone's got to teach the masses, Nathan said, smirking. Good for him. Noah has a PhD, I said, my voice firm. He teaches because he believes in it. Not everything's about money. Sweet, my father said, dismissing me with a sip of wine. But ideals don't pay for a family. I bit back the truth that I could buy their vineyards, their jets, their entire lives without blinking. Instead, I said, he's exceptional at what he does. The conversation shifted, but the air grew heavier. I overheard my mother in the butler's pantry, whispering to Helen. Sophie's still in this phase, she said, her voice sharp. All that potential, wasted on apps. Richard's embarrassed when clients ask about her. The words cut deeper than I expected, a blade slicing through years of armor. I'd known they were disappointed, but hearing it laid bare, my life reduced to a social liability, made my chest ache. Memories flooded in, the science fair I won at 12, overshadowed by Nathan's lacrosse trophy, my Berkeley graduation, where my father grilled me about better majors, the launch of Apex's first product, which they skipped for a yacht party. Nothing I did was enough unless it glittered in their world. Grandma Margaret squeezed my hand under the table. They're blind to you, dear, she whispered. I see you. Ava leaned in, her voice soft. I'm serious about that game, Aunt Sophie. Can I email you the code? Absolutely, I said, her enthusiasm a balm. We'll set up a call. Uncle Philip, the family's black sheep who'd chosen academia over finance, caught my eye and raised his glass slightly, a quiet salute. These small gestures kept me afloat, but the pressure was building. I excused myself to the bathroom, needing a moment to breathe. In the marble-walled powder room, I leaned against the sink, staring at my reflection. My phone buzzed with a text from Lauren. How's the firing squad? Need an exit? In full swing, I texted back. Might take you up on that. Her reply was instant. Say the word. I've got a plan. Smiled, but the weight of the night pressed harder. The car crash, the cyber attack, the FBI leak, someone was circling, and I was exposed. Was it Victor Crane, the board member spreading lies about my leadership? He'd rallied investors to demand my resignation, claiming I was too young to run Apex. Or was it Quantum Tech, behind the $750 million 0 cents takeover bid? Their CEO had called me personally, his voice oily with threats. Join us, or we'll bury you. I'd laughed it off, but now I wasn't so sure. As I returned to the dining room, the atmosphere shifted. The dessert course arrived. Chocolate tarts and creme brulee each played a work of art, but something felt off. My wine glass, untouched all night, had a faint sheen on the rim, like oil on water. I froze, my pulse spiking. Last month, during a conference in San Francisco, a gas leak in my hotel suite had nearly killed me. The fire marshal called it a freak accident, but I'd seen the tampered valve. Now this. Poison? My eyes darted to the table, searching faces. Nathan's smirk, Olivia's calculated glance, my mother's forced smile. Who? Before I could react, my phone rang, the sound slicing through the chatter. Lauren's name flashed on the screen. I'm sorry, I said, standing. This might be urgent. I'll put it on speaker so I don't miss anything. Really, Sophie, my mother snapped. During dessert. This body reception, I said, hitting accept and placing the phone on the table. Lauren's voice boomed, crisp and professional. Ms. Bennett, apologies for interrupting. Your helicopter is prepped for the Singapore summit tomorrow. The $100 million, 0 cents merger documents are ready for your review, and the board approved your $20 million, 0 cents AI education grant for underserved schools. The room went still, forks clattering to plates. My father's wine glass froze mid-air. Olivia's mouth fell open, her bracelet suddenly looking cheap. Lauren continued, oblivious to the shockwave. Also, Quantum Tech's CEO called again about the takeover. They're upping the offer to $800 million, 0 cents, but I assume you'll reject it. And the FBI cleared the insider trading claims. Greg Holland's been arrested. I kept my face neutral, letting the silence stretch. Every eye was on me, recalculating, reassessing. Finally, I spoke, my voice calm but steel-edged. I should clarify something. Apex Dynamics, my company, is valued at $1,500,000,000, 0 cents. I'm the Chief Visionary Officer. We empower 25,000 startups to compete with corporations like the ones you invest in. My father blinked, his face a kaleidoscope of confusion and dawning realization. Apex Dynamics? The AI firm in TechCrunch? The same, I said. I've been telling you about it for 10 years. You didn't listen. Nathan sputtered, his face red. You're worth what? And you drive that junk heap? I could buy a fleet of Ferraris, I said, meeting his eyes. I choose not to. My worth isn't in what I drive. Olivia laughed, a nervous trill. Clever, Sophie, hiding all that. Very strategic. It wasn't strategy, I said. It was survival. I wanted people to value me, not my bank account. My father leaned forward, recovering his composure. This changes things, Sophie. With our connections, we could scale Apex to... No, I cut in. Apex stays independent. Our mission is to disrupt the kind of consolidation your firm thrives on. The table erupted in chaos. Excuses, flattery, offers. Nathan pitched his failing startup. Helen suggested partnerships. My mother claimed she'd always believed in me. But Grandma Margaret's proud smile, Ava's wide-eyed awe, and Philip's quiet nod grounded me. I'd survive the night, the crash, the poison. Whatever came next, I'd face it on my terms. As I drove home, the rain still falling, I felt lighter. The walls I'd built to hide my success were crumbling, and with them, the fear of being seen. Someone wanted me dead, but I was still here, still fighting. And tomorrow, I'd find out who. The hum of the server room was a low, ominous pulse, like a heartbeat buried in concrete. I stood in the wreckage of Apex Dynamics Data Center, my sneakers crunching on shattered glass. Smoke still curled from the blackened servers, their guts exposed like a battlefield casualty. The fire had been no accident. Arson, the fire marshal said, pointing to traces of accelerant splashed across the racks. This was danger number 5, and it cut deeper than the tampered brakes, the sniper's bullet, or the gas leak that nearly choked me in San Francisco. This wasn't just an attack on me. It was an assault on everything I'd built. The $1,500,000,000, 0 cents empire I'd hidden from a family who'd mocked me hours ago at Thanksgiving dinner. Someone wanted Apex to burn, and they were getting closer. Lauren, my COO, stood beside me, her face grim under the flickering emergency lights. "We lost 30% of our primary servers," she said, her voice tight. "The backups held, but if we don't rebuild fast, 25,000 clients could lose access. That's a death spiral for our credibility." I nodded, my throat dry. Apex's AI platform was the lifeline for startups worldwide, giving them tools to rival corporate giants. If it went dark, we'd lose trust, contracts, our edge. "Who knew about this facility?" I asked, scanning the charred wreckage. "It's off the books, high security. Only a dozen people have clearance." Lauren hesitated, her eyes meeting mine. "That's what scares me, Sophie. This was an inside job." The words hit like a punch. An insider, someone I trusted, maybe someone I'd hired, mentored, fought for, had betrayed me. My mind raced, replaying last night's dinner. The stunned faces when Lauren's call revealed my wealth. My cousin Nathan's desperate plea for funding. My father Richard's sudden pitch to merge Apex with his hedge fund. Aunt Helen's oily flattery. Had one of them pieced together my secret before the call, or was it closer? Victor Crane, the rogue board member plotting my ouster? Or Greg Holland, the ex-partner now in FBI custody for leaking fake insider trading documents? The possibilities spun like a carousel of knives, each one sharp enough to kill. "We need answers," I said, turning to leave. "And we need them before Quantum Tech's takeover bid buries us." As we stepped into the cold Seattle dawn, my phone buzzed. A text from Noah, my boyfriend, glowed on the screen. "Heard about the fire on the news. You okay? Call me." My chest tightened. Noah, a history teacher with a heart bigger than his paycheck, knew me as Sophie, the coder with big dreams. He didn't know about the $200 million 0 cents, the helicopter, or the fact that I was dodging death daily. I wanted to call him, to hear his voice ground me, but every second I delayed was a second my enemies gained. I typed a quick reply. "I'm fine. Talk soon," and pocketed the phone. Guilt gnawing at me. Keeping him in the dark was protecting him. But it felt like lying. The Apex headquarters in downtown Seattle was a fortress of glass and steel, but today it felt like a trap. My team bustled around me, unaware I posed as a senior AI specialist to stay relatable. They thought I was one of them, not the chief visionary officer who'd built this from a Berkeley dorm. I liked it that way. Innovation thrived on trust, not hierarchy. But as I sat in the war room with Lauren and our top engineers, trust was a luxury I couldn't afford. "The fire took out our primary data pipelines," said Priya, our lead developer, her voice strained. "We've rerouted to backups, but latency's spiking. Clients are already complaining." "How long to rebuild?" I asked, my eyes on the live dashboard showing 25,000 startups depending on us. 3 weeks, minimum," Priya said. "If we pull every resource." "We don't have 3 weeks," Lauren snapped. "Quantum Tech's $750 million 0 cents takeover bid is circling like a vulture. If our clients jump ship, they'll lowball us into oblivion." The room fell silent, the weight of it crushing. Quantum Tech, a tech conglomerate with a monopoly mindset, had been hounding us for months. Their CEO, Marcus Vaughn, had called me personally, his voice slick with threats. "Join us, Sophie, or we'll crush you." I'd rejected him, banking on Apex's independence. Now, with our servers smoldering and a class action lawsuit accusing us of data privacy violations, another fabricated hit. We were vulnerable. High pressure scenario number 4 was a PR nightmare, and it was bleeding us dry. Then we pivot, I said, standing. Double down on the backups, optimize the code, and push a client update by tonight. We show strength, not panic. Priya nodded, but her eyes betrayed doubt. There's another issue. The Orion model, our flagship AI, it's glitching. If it fails during tomorrow's investor demo, we're toast. My stomach dropped. High pressure scenario number 3. The Orion model was Apex's crown jewel, an AI that predicted market trends with 95% accuracy. Global investors from Singapore to London were flying in to see it live. A failure would tank our credibility, giving Quantum Tech the leverage to force a buyout. Fix it, I said, my voice steel. Whatever it takes. As the team scattered, Lauren pulled me aside. Sophie, we need to talk about Victor Crane. He's escalating. Leaked emails to investors calling you unstable. Says the fire proves you're in over your head. Victor, the board member gunning for my job, was high pressure scenario number 2. His lies had already spooked 2 major investors, and now he was using the fire to rally more. He's fishing, I said, but he doesn't have the votes to oust me, not yet. Maybe not, Lauren said, lowering her voice. But what if he's behind the fire or the car? He's got motive, control of Apex, and connections to Quantum Tech. The thought chilled me. Victor had joined our board 2 years ago, a smooth-talking VC with a shark smile. He'd push for aggressive expansion, clashing with my vision of empowering startups over chasing profits. If he was colluding with Quantum Tech, the takeover bid wasn't just business, it was personal. Curiosity number 3. Was the data center fire tied to Victor's coup attempt, or was it someone else, like Greg Holland, pulling strings from jail? We dig, I said. Get our cybersecurity team on Victor's communications. If he's dirty, we'll find it. By noon, I was back in my office, a minimalist space with a view of Puget Sound. My desk held a single photo. Me and Noah on a hiking trail, laughing, carefree. I stared at it, longing for that simplicity. Noah was my anchor, the one person who saw me without the weight of Apex. But last night's dinner had shifted something. My family knew the truth now, and their sudden interest. Nathan's pitch, Richard's merger talk, Helen's probing, felt like vultures circling. Curiosity number 1, who tampered with my car and was it a family insider? The brake lines were cut hours before dinner. When my Ford was parked at home, someone had access, knowledge, intent. My phone rang, snapping me back. It was Carlos, the valet from last night. His voice was shaky. Miss Sophie, I need to tell you something about your car. My pulse spiked. What about it? I saw someone near it before you arrived. A guy in a suit messing with the hood. I thought he was a mechanic, but after the crash, I'm not sure. I should have said something. Who was he? I pressed, my mind racing. Nathan? Richard? A hired goon? I didn't get a good look, Carlos admitted. Dark hair, maybe 40s. He left in a black SUV. I'm sorry, It's okay, I said, softening. You're telling me now. Thank you. And Carlos, your daughter's portfolio. I meant it. Send it over. He exhaled, relieved. Will do. Be careful, Miss Sophie. I hung up, my hands trembling. A black SUV? Victor drove one. So did half of Seattle's elite, including my father. The puzzle pieces were multiplying, but none fit. I called Lauren, relaying Carlos's tip. We need to pull security footage from my street, I said, and cross-check it with Victor's whereabouts. On it, she said. But Sophie, you're not safe. The gas leak, the sniper, now this? You need protection. She was right. Danger number 4. The gas leak at my San Francisco hotel suite during a tech conference. I'd woken up dizzy, the room heavy with fumes, and barely made it to the hall before collapsing. The fire marshal called it a faulty line, but I'd seen the tampered valve. Danger number 3, the sniper who'd fired at me during a late-night jog, the bullet grazing my jacket before I dove into an alley. Each attempt was bolder, closer. Whoever was behind this wasn't stopping. I can't hide, I said. If I back down, Apex falls. We fight. Then fight smart, Lauren countered. I'm doubling your security. And cancel that Senate hearing next week. You can't testify on AI regulation with a target on your back. High pressure scenario number 5. The Senate hearing was a crucible with lawmakers itching to regulate AI. Apex's future, our freedom to innovate, hung on my testimony. Canceling would signal weakness, emboldening quantum tech and Victor. I'm going, I said. We'll prep harder. No retreat. Lauren sighed, but didn't argue. Fine, but if you die, I'm running Apex into the ground out of spite. I laughed, the sound brittle. Deal. The investor demo loomed like a storm cloud. By evening, I was back in the war room, caffeine and adrenaline keeping me upright. Priya's team had isolated the Orion glitch. A corrupted dataset, subtle but devastating. It's not random, Priya said, her eyes bloodshot. Someone slipped malicious code into the training data. We're cleaning it, but we're cutting it close. Another inside job. My stomach churned. Trace it, I said. Every commit, every access log, whoever did this is still in our system. As Priya nodded, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. A distorted voice rasped through the line. Back off, Sophie. Sell to quantum tech, or the next fire won't miss you. The call ended before I could respond. I stared at the phone, my blood iced. Lauren, overhearing, grabbed it. We're tracing that now, but this proves it. Quantum tech's behind this, or someone posing as them. Curiosity number 2. Was the sniper attack tied to quantum tech's takeover bid? Or was it personal, like Nathan's jealousy? He'd been livid last night, humiliated when I rejected his startup pitch. But arson? Murder? My cousin was a loser, not a killer. Or was he? I barely slept that night, my Tacoma townhouse feeling like a cage. At 3 a.m., I called Noah. His voice, groggy but warm, was a lifeline. Sophie? What's wrong? Everything, I admitted, my voice cracking. The fire, the crash. I'm in over my head. Hey, breathe, he said, steadying me. You're the smartest person I know. Whatever this is, you'll handle it. Want me to come over? I wanted to say yes, to let him hold me until the world made sense, but involving him meant risking his safety. I'm okay, I lied. Just needed your voice. Any time, he said. But, Sophie, you're carrying too much. Let me in, okay. Lose, I promised, guilt twisting my gut. Curiosity number 4. Would Noah stay once he knew the truth? The wealth, the danger, the chaos? The demo day dawned gray and cold. The Apex auditorium buzzed with investors, their suits crisp, their eyes predatory. I stood backstage, my heart hammering. Priya's team had patched Orion, but the fix was untested. If it crashed, we'd lose billions in funding, handing Quantum Tech the keys to Apex. Lauren squeezed my shoulder. You've got this. Show them why you're Sophie Bennett. I stepped onto stage, the spotlight blinding. Welcome, I said, my voice steady despite the fear. Apex Dynamics empowers the underdog. Today, you'll see why. The Orion demo began, its interface sleek, its predictions razor sharp. For 10 minutes, it was perfect. Market trends mapped in real time, startups cheering as their data soared. Then, a flicker. The screen froze, error codes flashing like warning sirens. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Priya, in the control room, signaled frantically, "We're fixing it." Sweat beaded on my neck. This was it. High-pressure scenario number 3, live and catastrophic. I improvised, stepping forward. Innovation isn't perfect, I said, my voice carrying. It's messy, human. Orion's not just code. It's a vision. Let's show you what it can do. Priya's team rebooted, and the screen flared back to life. Orion roared, delivering predictions with uncanny precision. The room erupted in applause, but my relief was fleeting. Someone had sabotaged the demo, just like the servers, the car, my life. Curiosity number 3 again. Was this Victor's doing or Greg Holland's revenge? Postimo. Investors swarmed me, their praise effusive but hollow. I smiled, shook hands, and slipped away, my mind on the trace Priya was running. By noon, she had answers. The malicious code came from an admin account, she said, her voice low. Victor Crane's credentials. My blood boiled. Victor. The board member who'd called me unstable, who'd leaked lies to investors. Lauren was already on the phone, rallying the board for an emergency vote. We're kicking him out, she said, but Sophie, he didn't act alone. His emails show contact with Quantum Tech and someone else. A burner account, untraceable. The plot thickened. A web of betrayal. Curiosity number 5. Was the gas leak tied to Victor's coup? Or was the burner account a family member, like Nathan or Richard, playing a darker game? The Senate hearing was a week away, and the class action lawsuit was gaining traction, fueled by fake evidence of data breaches. I worked around the clock, meeting lawyers, prepping testimony, and rebuilding Apex's servers. At night, I leaned on Noah, our calls growing longer, deeper. He sensed my stress, but didn't push. His stories of teaching kids about the Civil War a balm against my chaos. Yet the distance between us grew, not physical, but emotional. I hadn't told him about Apex's scale, the attempts on my life, the weight of $200 million, 0 cents. Curiosity number 4 gnawed harder. Would he stay? My family, meanwhile, was relentless. Nathan texted daily, pitching his startup, each message more desperate. Richard called, suggesting strategic partnerships with his hedge fund. Helen invited me to lunch with investors who'd love to meet you. Their opportunism was predictable, but it hurt. Only Grandma Margaret, Ava, and Uncle Philip reached out without strings. Margaret with a handwritten letter, Ava with her game code, Philip with a quiet email. I'm proud of you, Sophie, there always was. One night, as I reviewed security footage from my street, I froze. A black SUV parked near my house the day of the crash. The driver's face was blurry, but the license plate was clear. Lauren's team traced it to Richard's firm. My father. Curiosity number 1 exploded. Was he behind the brake tampering? The thought was unthinkable, but the evidence was damning. I confronted him the next day, storming into his downtown office. Did you try to kill me? I demanded, slamming the footage printout on his desk. His face paled, but his voice was calm. Sophie, you're hysterical. That's my firm's car, yes, but I wasn't driving. We lend vehicles to clients. Then who was it? I pressed, my voice shaking. Someone cut my brakes, Dad, hours before your dinner. He leaned back, his eyes cold. You're paranoid. Success is making you enemies, not me. I left, unconvinced, the rift between us widening. The push and pull of doubt, family or foe, was tearing me apart. But I had no time to dwell. The Senate hearing arrived, a high-stakes gauntlet. I testified for hours, defending AI's potential against senators hungry for control. My voice didn't waver, my answers sharp, but inside I was unraveling. Apex's future, my life, hung on every word. When I stepped out of the Capitol, Lauren was waiting, her face grim. The lawsuit's escalating, she said. New evidence? Fake, but convincing. And the burner account? It's linked to Nathan's IP address. Nathan, my cousin whose jealousy had festered into betrayal. Curiosity number 2 resolved, but the pain was raw. I confronted him that night, his Seattle loft reeking of weed and failure. Why, Nathan? I asked, holding printouts of his emails to Victor. He laughed, bitter. You waltz in acting broke, then drop $1 billion bomb? I deserved a piece. You owed me. I owed you nothing, I said, my voice breaking. You tried to burn my company, my life. He shrugged, unrepentant. I walked away, heart heavy, and reported him to the FBI. The arrests came swiftly. Nathan, Victor, and a quantum tech exec. Their conspiracy unraveling. The fire, the demo sabotage, the lawsuit, all traced back to their greed. But the car, the sniper, the gas leak, those threads led elsewhere, to a shadow I couldn't yet name. Curiosity numbers 1, 4, and 5 lingered. Unanswered. 6 months later, I stood in my new Redmond home, a modest craftsman with room for friends. The air smelled of grilled steak and laughter, my dining table crowded with the people who mattered. Lauren, Noah, Grandma Margaret, Ava, Uncle Philip, and new neighbors who liked me for my bad puns, not my wealth. I'd set up trusts for Margaret, Ava, and Philip, ensuring they'd never want. But I hadn't told them yet. Some gifts needed time. Apex was soaring, our service rebuilt, our clients loyal. We'd launched a $75 million, 0 cents AI literacy program, bringing coding to kids in underserved schools. The lawsuit was dismissed, the Senate hearing a triumph. My parents had retreated, their calls rare and stilted. Nathan was awaiting trial, his betrayal a scar I'd carry forever. Noah, now knowing the truth had stayed. "You're still Sophie," he'd said, kissing me after I confessed everything, "just with a fancier calculator." Curiosity number 4 answered, his love a quiet victory. But the car, the sniper, the gas leak haunted me. Someone was still out there, their motives hidden. I'd find them, but not tonight. I traded my Ford for a hybrid sedan, donating the old car to a coding academy where kids like Ava could learn. It wasn't a status symbol, just a nod to change. Pragmatic, like me. As I raised a glass, Margaret tapped hers for a toast. "To Sophie," she said, her voice strong, "who taught us wealth is who you are, not what you own." To authentic connections, I added, my voice thick. The table echoed, glasses clinking, and for the first time in years, I felt free. The shadows lingered, but I'd face them with the courage of a woman who'd built an empire, survived betrayal, and found love in truth. My story wasn't over, but tonight it was enough.